Hello and welcome back to Afterglow. We're on our 38th episode and still talking about games that I got for Christmas. Now, on the last episode, Yoshi's Island, I talked about getting a second game. And that's the game we're covering in this episode with Jurassic Park. This game took some time to grow into, and I don't think a lot of people really consider it a good game. I consider it definitely a mid-range game. Nothing great, but not awful either. There are a few things I really wish this game had, though. That being said, it came out around the same time that Jurassic Park Mania was going wild with that first movie, which was an incredible movie. This game didn't really hold up to the movie, though it did have some cool moments, which I will talk about after our music cut. Alright, welcome back. So like I said, on this Christmas, this is the one where I had asked for Chrono Trigger, but I don't think they could find it. Again, probably wasn't real popular in my area, so we ended up with Yoshi's Island and this game, Jurassic Park. And I liked Jurassic Park the movie, so I totally wanted to give the game a chance, right? And it opens really impressively. It shows the island, and it has this Mode 7 effect going around the island, which it looks really smooth and really impressive for Mode 7. And then you get a very, very nice image of the Jurassic Park logo And then you start the game up, and the game is top down, or at least it starts that way. You're playing as Alan Grant, and there's certain things you have to do around the island, but the overarching goal is to find all the eggs on the island and then get to the helipad to get off. But there's a bunch of stuff you gotta do to actually pull this off. There's you gotta get the power back on the island, you gotta get the computers going, you gotta collect a bunch of different key cards. A lot of different things you gotta do, and a lot of locations you gotta go to in order to pull this off. There's a bunch of weapons in the game too. You've always got this, I guess you would call it like an electric caliprod. I'm not sure what else you would call it, but you fire like a short burst of electricity out. And you kind of have like, I don't want to say unlimited ammo, but you have recharging ammo. Like eventually it will run out, but it will also recharge to where you can use it again. On top of that, you've got these darts that you can fire out, which are just tranquilizer darts, I believe. There's smoke grenades, which I don't really use. It kind of like has the same effect as the tranquilizer darts. I try to stay away from both of those weapons. The main three I used were the shotgun shells, which were decent. Like, if I couldn't find either of the other two weapons, I would use the shotgun shells. Then the rocket launcher, which to me, I always call them the bumblebee rockets because they are black and yellow striped, kind of like a bee. Those were pretty powerful, though. The rockets did really well, but then the bolas that you could pick up were definitely the top tier weapon in the game. I believe they did about the same damage as a rocket, but they had a wider firing arc, which really came in handy whenever you went inside a building, because whenever you went in the building, the game kind of switches over to a first-person perspective mode. And it was impressive to see on the Super Nintendo at the time. However, the view is through a tight window. It's like you're looking through a pair of goggles on your TV. And the graphics aren't so hot. A lot of times, if you're kind of like at a mid-range point from a dinosaur, it's hard to tell whether you're looking at a dinosaur or you're looking at a plant in the background. And the only way you know is to get closer to it or fire a weapon at it. But most of these buildings are also where you want to collect those key cards, which allow you access to other parts of the island. We want to get the power back on because the computers on the island can control certain gates that you need to go through to get to certain areas. But your overall reaching goal is to get 18 eggs. So far, not bad. It's an average game, but this game could have greatly benefited, in my opinion, at least with a battery save option. The game was just too long for me to be able to beat in one sitting. Like, I could play for about 4 or 5 hours and get fairly far into the game. Like, if I remember right, as a kid, I could get over half the eggs found. Like, get down to like maybe 4 or 5 eggs, but I couldn't find the others. And eventually, you gotta turn the system off. And whenever you start back up, you don't have a password save, you don't have a battery backup save, you just start over. And for me, this really hurt the game, because then you're going through the same stuff in the beginning every time you play, and you never get a chance to really experience the later parts of the game, because by the time you've gotten there, it's time to shut the system off again. And in my opinion, it hurt the game. That being said, I did enjoy the game as a kid. Didn't have very many games whenever I had this one. So I played it a lot, and I got some enjoyment out of it for sure. But never actually beat it as a kid. So later on in life, I did emulate it, and I used save states. And finally, I can beat this game, right? This game has one of the worst endings I have ever played or seen in a game. Know that cool Mode 7 intro that I told you about? That's more or less what happens again. You see a Mode 7 view of you lifting off the island and taking off from it. And congratulations, you've escaped Jurassic Park. Those words flash across the screen, and that's the end of the game. So for as long as the game is, you would think they would have given it a more substantial ending, something to reward you for your time, but no, there's no real reward. You just sit there, you get that maybe 15 seconds of Mode 7, 4 or 5 seconds to read the text on the screen, and you're done. It shows the credits and then back to the main menu again, so a really disappointing ending for this game. I did eventually grab another card of it whenever I started recollecting games again, just because it was a childhood game. I got really fond memories of it. Even though, all that anticipation for seeing the ending, because of course this game is so long, there's so much to, kind of explore in this island. It's gotta have a cool ending, right? And then you find the ending, and it's just like a kick in the groin. Because you really got to work hard to get to that ending, and then you see it, and it's like, no, this is all you get. That being said, if you're a Jurassic Park fan, it's worth a play for sure. It's fun, but I would say that also the Sega Genesis Jurassic Park games are quite a bit better. I do believe I've never actually played the NES version, but I think this version has the same top-down stuff that the NES version has, just expanded upon a lot more, and then they added the first-person stuff whenever you go into a building. Which is, again, kind of neat, kind of a cool touch, but at the end of the day, the game gets kind of monotonous, and then whenever you finally beat it, the ending, again, I can't get away from it, but the ending's a huge slap in the face to me. But it was a fun game, just not for a really long period of time. Play it, but don't play it through to the ending. That would be my review, if we did reviews on here. But thank you for listening to my memories of Jurassic Park for the Super Nintendo. Maybe we'll talk about the Sega Genesis version down the road, because that one I rented, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that the Sega Genesis one was really, really good. The Super Nintendo one was just an average game to me. But those are my thoughts on it. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the music outro. I'll see you on the next episode of Afterglow.